New Zealand is one of the world's most well-known democracies for its free and accepting society. But this could all change if we don't protect the key pillars of a liberal democracy. The first being making sure that everyone's views are equally represented by fairly elected representatives, protecting everyone's democratic rights, and allowing free accountability of all of our politicians. We all have a part to play in upholding this democracy, and we propose 3 key ways that everyone can do their bit to uphold New Zealand's democracy.
As passionate young people, we can be the start of this change. We need to engage more in democracy ourselves to open the door for others to follow. This ranges from going to select committees and engaging with MPs, to reading the news and having active political discussions. Not only will we be able to make democracy more vibrant and diverse by actually engaging with it, bringing different thoughts and opinions to the table, we can also draw in new people who might not necessarily be as inherently interested in politics.
Just as one might, although not really being interested, tag along to a cricket game with a friend, but end up really enjoying it, a similar thing can happen with our democracy. If, as both students passionate about democracy, and as friends, we encourage others to come to these select committees to engage in our democracy, we can strengthen it. Even if we don't get every one of our friends to come along. Every added and new voice, every opinion that is heard, strengthens our democracy that little bit more and ensures ultimately people rule.
This needs to stretch beyond just elections, to all the work that goes on in between, such as select committees, speeches, legislation in Parliament, and more.
One of the current issues that we see in today's society is that there is an age limit on democracy, meaning that we only start learning about democracy from a certain age, at which point it becomes really difficult for us to understand the basics of it. So what we want to do is kind of demystify democracy from a really young age.
In order to educate New Zealanders about the democratic system, we need to start from the bottom up. We want to introduce a game-based learning system from year zeros up, which teaches the basic ideas of democracy. This ensures by the time students get to high school, regardless of whether they decide to pursue social sciences or not, they will have a thorough understanding of democracy, how it works, and how they can help.
Higher level understanding of democracy involves a lot of theoretical, which is difficult to understand if you don't have a base understanding of what democracy looks like practically. A problem that we see in the real world is that once students do begin to learn about these higher level things, like the separation of powers, they can't see how it applies practically, and they therefore aren't engaged in the classroom. Under our model, we're able to fix this by giving them a deeper understanding of what democracy looks like in its basics from the very beginning of their education. And once students do get into these higher level topics in humanities and the social sciences, they're able to understand and engage with this learning. It also allows us to involve this learning in more subject areas and learn about how democracy applies in different areas of the world, not just politics.
One of the most important aspects of a modern functioning democracy is its ability for its people in all communities to engage with their MPs. What we want to effectively do is to implement compulsory ways for MPs to converse with their constituents in 2 ways. First, in the form of a quarterly letter to the people explaining what you're doing, what you want to do, so on and so forth, just as would be done in the run-up to an election, however, every single quarter, even between election cycles. And to go along with that, a compulsory quarterly meeting with the people in a town hall or similar, with tea, making it an event to get people to come to this and to engage. This is simply because the existing solutions of office hours are inconvenient for MPs because they spend most of their time in Wellington, inconvenient for people because it is difficult for them to get there, and even when they are there, rather than being surrounded with a bunch of like-minded people, you feel like to go there you have to have a fully formed argument, you have to explain why this is important, and fundamentally, you feel alone. Compulsory engagement like this will mean that people who are not typically politically engaged will simply see it as an option for them to go down with all of their friends and family, go to this event, have some tea, listen to your MP, talk to your MP, and voice your concerns, making it far, far, far more popular. This is going to help especially in rural communities where office hours are especially difficult to get to, and often where concerns of the people can be difficult to be heard in all ways. And this is far better than just an email, because although MPs will read an email, in terms of an MP understanding their people's needs, this is going to be far more effective because it is a face-to-face connection with your constituents, making it far more personal, so everybody in this democracy can now understand better what the people need and try to fix this.
So to conclude, the 3 key solutions we've offered you to help uphold our democracy are first creating a democracy game to engage young people from the very start to improve their understanding of the democratic system so they're more likely to want to be involved when they get older. Secondly, for our peers to go and attend select committees and get involved with their local electorates so that their voices can truly be heard. And thirdly, we want to make it mandatory for local MPs to create a quarterly letter to the people coupled with a community event where they can share their progress with their electorate. This is also improve the accessibility of the political system so that everyone can have their voices heard as easily as possible.